Part 5, Decomposing Functions. Find two functions f and g such that f of g of x equals h of x, where h of x equals the square root of 1 minus 3x squared. So now we're going backward. Before we've had two functions, f of x and g of x, and then we found the composition, f of g of x. Now we have the composition. This is f of g of x. So what could f of x and g of x be so that we have our f of g of x equal to this? Now there are many answers, but we're going to come up with the simplest one. So what I'm going to think about, I want f of g of x. So f of x needs to be the outside function. And the outside of this one, I would say, is just the square root. So square root of x is our outside function. And then our inside function, g of x, would be 1 minus 3x squared. So let's try that. F of g of x would be f of 1 minus 3x squared, which is square root of 1 minus 3x squared. And that is our h of x. So we were successful. We found two functions such that the composition gives us square root of 1 minus 3x squared. Now those aren't the only two functions that are possible. We could do something like f of x equals the square root of 1 minus 3x, and then g of x would be x squared. In this case, f of g of x would be the square root of 1 minus 3 times x squared, when I put the x squared in for that x, which is still the same thing, 1 minus 3x squared. But I would always start with just the easiest solution, an outside function, square root's the very outside, and then everything else, the inside function. Let's try it again with this one. Find two functions, f and g, such that f of g of x equals h of x, where h of x equals 3 over 5x plus 1 all squared. Here's how I would do this one. I have my parentheses, the 5x plus 1. I'm going to let the inside function be what's inside the parentheses. And then the outside function would be 3 over x squared. Everything that's not in that parentheses. So let's try that and make sure it works. F of g of x equals f of 5x plus 1, which would be, if I plug 5x plus 1 in for all the x's in f of x, I have 3 over 5x plus 1 all squared, which is the h of x that we were trying to get. Again, that's not the only solution. We could say that f of x is, for example, 3 over 5x plus 1 squared, and g of x is just equal to x. In this case, f of g of x would give us the same thing. If we plug in x for x, we get the exact same thing. So f of g of x would still be 3 over 5x plus 1 squared. And you could find all kinds of answers. But again, I would start with just the easiest one possible. So here, what's inside my parentheses is going to be my inside function. Everything else will be the outside function.